Hey, Ben, I
Hey, Paul.
say, looking in the opposite direction of where my phone is. Hey,
Yeah.
Ben's right there.
Hey, Paul. How's
That's
it
where Ben
going?
is.
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Oh no,
good.
turn the other way.
Wait,
Hey,
hold on.
Paul.
Oh,
How's it going? Yeah.
hey. Yes, very much so. This is
Hey.
going to
All
make
right.
for great audio. Thank you, everyone, for
Yeah.
tuning in to the podcast.
Hey, and
Um,
we're live. Hey, Paul. How's it going?
hey, it's good. So, uh, as you may know, I have changed my Twitter handle to match my handle that I have for TikTok, which is Ismodian.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I thought it would be fun to talk about what Ismodian means for the people
All
so
right.
that
I'll
someone
ask.
can figure it out.
What does it mean?
All right. So uh, this goes back to when I was sort of crazy. Now, some people would say, Paul, you're sort of crazy now, but I was crazier.
Still sort of crazy.
Thank you, yes, but the influence of like you and Jennifer and stuff like that. My therapist said that she does not know if schizotypal personality disorder is actually an accurate diagnosis of me anymore.
Right. We talked
So
about that last week.
I have gotten like a little because she mentioned it again this week uh at our therapy
Yeah.
thing. So yay for me. I'm leveling out of it, maybe. But at the time when I was at my most florid, I was convinced that there were, and I, okay, disclaimer, I don't actually think this, but do I sometimes wonder, maybe so, that there are many different realities, right?
Right.
And they aren't separate; they're permeable. You can go from one to another through uh, passageways, tunnels, things like that. And they aren't shiny like portals of light. They're actual like doors that you walk through and things. So any opening in the world is a passage between these different worlds, right? But there's also an in between world. So when you're going from one world to another, there's sort of a halfway point, if you
What?
will,
What's this?
a
Is this half?
backstage.
Is it like a
A,
void of some sort?
no. It looks it's that's why I said half. That's why I use the term halfway. It's like, let's say for instance, and I'm just using this as an example. Let's say that you're going from a uh, a relatively urban place to the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
In between those two places, there's a place that's like maybe an industrial type place. So like Georgetown, for instance, right? Not really, you know, uh, full factories, but not really suburbs either. It's sort of this weird kind of collection where there might be a guy living in a warehouse, and there might be a store, and there might be coffee shops, but they don't look like they necessarily belong there. They kind of you fade from one type of uh, area to another, kind of. Or as another example, uh, I think I mentioned this before. Leavenworth, Washington.
A
You're
lovely
familiar
place.
with it,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yes. As you're driving, so for those who don't know, Leavenworth is it Bavarian? Is
It's
it a
Bavarian
Bavarian village?
themed, yeah.
Yeah. So as you're getting to Leavenworth, the houses will start to look more and more Bavarian. But you once you get to Leavenworth, they're like full Bavarian. But people will sort of stylize their house a little bit as you're getting closer. So that in between place where you're not fully in Leavenworth, but you're not fully in a normal place, that sort of in between state.
Okay.
Uh, that and in my concept of all these different worlds, it's sort of a backstage where you're not in any single world. You're sort of in a in between place. But I didn't have a name for it. And then I was playing music with my friend Jamie Primus, who has not been on the show, but he was a roommate of Andy, who has been on the show before. And we were playing music, and I was improvising lyrics over music that we were playing. And
A specialty of yours.
I came, yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Uh, and the lyrics I came up with, I still remember them. Is you don't know my real name. You co-signed my loan just the same. I'm going to go to Ismodito or perhaps just Maine. You don't know my secret name. Now, Ismodito was just a thing that I put in there because it fit the number of syllables that I wanted, but it was a nonsense word. It was just a nonsense word that I put up. And so when I was looking for a word for this in-between place, I was like, well, why don't I just call it Ismodito? I made up this in-between place. I made up the place Ismodito. I'll just call it Ismodito. That's what it's going to be called. And the people that live in Ismodito are called Ismodians. And so the idea basically is that they're these sort of not really aliens. They're regular people, but they're unfettered from a baseline reality, basically.
Yeah.
And so Ismodito.
All right. And why did you?
Where
so
Ismodian came from?
That's the genesis of Ismodian. Why did you change your Twitter handle?
Because I wanted people on TikTok to be able to find me on Twitter. And if you remember, my old Twitter handle was SGNP, and then I deleted that account, and I couldn't get it back. And I really didn't want it back either because SGNP, which stands for Some Guy Named Paul, which is the music name that I was using for a while, it was later used by a national park in India. And I felt bad because a lot of people from India were looking for this park and they were finding me instead. And so I was like, oh, I better not use that again. And a lot of other names were taken, but Ismodito, luckily, not a lot of people want to call themselves that. So it was still open.
There always seems to be this interesting push-pull between your social media and not having people find you because of work-related things. Like, you don't want to get in trouble with your employer. Linking your Twitter and your... of all, having a TikTok and a Twitter seems kind of spurious at best if you're trying to be careful online.
So what I'll say to that is that, we get rules that come out. The rules, when I first started working, I've been working, in this industry for about 7 years now.
Has it been that long since you left town? Holy crap.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. It'll be 7 years in
October.
And the rules when I first started were, no, you can't do social media stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became, you can do social media stuff, but don't have any friends who are foreign nationals, stuff like that, like weird rules.
That is a weird rule.
I think they're getting more. They understand more that social media is a larger thing now.
Yeah.
But the main thing is I never talk about work, and that helps.
Not even when you and I are just on the phone and we're not recording.
Nope.
I don't even know where you
talk about work. And it's nice, right? You don't always have to talk about work to people, I think.
Yeah.
So the thing I would say is TikTok right now hasn't gotten bad. And in the same way, as you know, I sometimes unlock my Twitter account and let's be honest, the whole reason why I normally lock my Twitter account, or delete my Twitter. I like to say it's because, people are mean online and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
really, honestly, the thing that sparks me going, well, I should take a break, is when I make someone that I know mad or sad or whatever. There was a time when I realized that, the big thing is I try not to make as many jokes. And I think it's okay. I could never be funny again online and it would be fine. So whenever I'm on Twitter now, I try to sort of regulate what I post and what I don't post.
My social media presence changed dramatically once my parents my parents found me online. It was
Oh no!
Every once in a while, I'll post something slightly political, or I'll say something. I've stopped using swear words for the most part. It's very mom friendly. So I'm very rarely on Twitter. But when I post stuff on Facebook, it's usually like inconsequential nonsense. Like today, I posted about how every time when I hear the HBO intro logo, because of the first show I ever binged watching HBO, the theme song that comes to my head every time I watch an HBO show now is the Mr. Show theme.
And I didn't mean to undercut you. I said Mr. Show because that's what it was for me.
Yeah, no, I mean it's great that you didn't mention The Sopranos or Sex and the City or something, but because we know each other, Paul. We know each other.
Yeah, true. Oh man, speaking of Mr. Show, I don't know what's going on.
I was gonna look it up right before we started, but I didn't have time.
Yeah.
For those of our listeners who don't know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, Jake Johnston.
Jay Johnston.
Jay, what? Did I say Jake?
Yeah, which is what I said last week, and you corrected me.
Oh my god. Yeah. So yeah. Still don't know what's going on. But
I don't know. I don't actually know if the FBI posts when they actually arrest somebody.
That's a good point. Maybe they may. Oh, something that's going on here. Officer Hall, and I don't remember his first name, and I apologize for that. But yeah, he's an undercover police officer who was posing as a protester here in St. Louis. I say here in St. Louis. I'm in Illinois. I'm across the river from St. Louis, though. He was posing as a protester a while back and got beaten by his fellow officers and put in the hospital, fractured vertebrae. They were able to, they said that a paramedic or a medic at the hospital they were able to put their pinky through a hole in his face. Just all this crazy stuff. And there's a trial now about it.
So the plaintiff is Officer Hall and the defendants are his fellow officers?
That is correct. Yeah. And it's nuts because
that's got to be awkward in the locker room.
Is he still wanted to? He had mentioned that he had been hit a couple of times and things like that. And the one thing is they asked him, what he wanted to do, and he wanted to stay in cover, right? At the time.
Well, is there enough info about the story to know, was he acting as an agent provocateur? Was he trying to rile the protesters up so that his fellow officers can be justified in beating them?
Okay, so this is what I know, and I don't know a lot. I encourage people to look it up because obviously we sometimes get things wrong on this show. But from what it sounded like, he was recording things with his phone. And he wanted to get the footage off of his phone, but somebody had smashed it also with a nightstick. One of the officers had taken the battery out of their camera. Just all this.
Let me ask a question that just popped into my head. Well, how much do you know about this story?
Only what I read on Twitter. There's a person I follow on Twitter was at the trial and was live tweeting what was
So,
happening at it.
is Officer Hall a person of color and the
Yes, he
other
is.
officers white people?
Why, yes, they are, Ben.
How did I guess
Interesting.
that?
Yeah. So the first thing that Officer Hall says is that he and his white partner were working and they split up because they set his partner and he decided that if a protester saw the two of them together, they would guess that they were police officers.
Mm.
So, it's one of the it's a perfect storm of like, cop versus cop is a very strange thing to navigate.
There were a lot of
But
rumors. There were a lot of rumors going around last summer during all the Black Lives Matter protests that undercover cops had some sort of marking on them to identify them to other police, and people were showing pictures. Sometimes it was like a white armband or something, something
yeah,
subtle
you
like
might
that,
not
like a white
tell,
armband.
but something that yeah.
Yeah, it's not like
Well,
they were wearing a badge, but it was some sort of like thing, just to keep something like this from happening.
and the one thing that I know that he mentioned was that he had the opportunity to break cover and he decided that he wanted to stay undercover. So that is because there were still people around. He was arrested with another guy, and that guy
Gotcha.
had been messed up too. So the impression I get from listening to it was that he did not have, like, the officers didn't necessarily know that he was an undercover officer. They probably didn't.
They probably don't
But
know everybody on the force.
there's a chance that they did. And at the very least, and this is the thing that they were mentioning, the people that were doing, because there was a broken window and stuff like that, the people that were doing that were easily identifiable. They had, like, one guy had a orange shirt wrapped around his head, stuff like that. But they kettled a whole bunch more people. I think the number was like 120.
Damn.
And kept them there. So yeah, it's a weird. There's a lot of civil rights stuff wrapped up in this story. Not just the officer, but the people that were there at that protest as well.
It's been pretty quiet here in the Northwest. Can't speak for Portland, of course, but in Seattle, there's if you listen to conservative media, Seattle is still burned to the ground from last summer. There are marches almost every day, but you never hear about them because they're peaceful. Yeah, they block traffic, but I only know about them because I follow the Seattle Department of Transportation on Twitter, but like almost every day there's a march.
That's something that I hear from people around here every once in a while when I talk about Seattle, and I'm like, yeah, every once in a while I think about moving back, but I can't really afford it, and people will say something like. And I guess now I know that this is a way to tell if they listen to conservative media or not. They'll say something like, well, yeah, I don't know if you'd want to go back there anyway. You'd probably get shot or something to that effect.
Right.
Which, I know people who did get shot, but the circumstances under which they were shot were unique. It wasn't Seattle. It was a thing that could happen any place.
Yeah. I get upset when people who don't live here call this city a trash heap,
Yeah. I mean, you don't like to hear that about any city, really.
No, but I mean, this is my city. I can complain about it as much as I want to. But,
exactly.
You live in Duval. Who cares what you think about Seattle? Speaking of Seattle and awesome places within it, we're, as you may know, we're live streaming again, and I, of course, am here in the lovely Annex Theater. I just want to give a shout out to Annex.
Yes. Annex Theater,
Because
good. That's where Ben and I did our performance art.
Yeah, right on that stage down there. Yeah, we were doing a. It's not behind you.
Oh, I looked the wrong way.
We were doing a live stream show for the last few weeks, and so I wasn't involved with it, so I stayed off this machine completely.
It, Ben. I feel bad.
It was a commitment to watch.
Dragons.
It was
Dungeon.
It's you might be able to find it online somewhere, some way, somehow.
But I won't be able to interact with it.
You won't be able to interact with it. You cannot vote.
Yeah.
It's already been voted upon. But yeah, I did not want to get on the machine and screw anything up during their run because inevitably I would.
That would be too bad.
Yeah, because I would not want anybody to do
speaking about Dungeons and Dragons, so one of the things that's interesting about TikTok is that it's opened me up to a whole bunch of different D&D stuff, which I like D&D a lot. Dimension 20, which of course is where I got my, as you can see,
hey, look at that.
Burn Towns Get Money.
Okay.
Is the shirt. It's what a dragon does, Ben. Burn Towns Get Money. Also, though, there's a new podcast that I'm listening to called Unprepared Casters, where these people who just got on the old TikTok and started talking about Dungeons and Dragons, then got together, and now they're doing a what do they call it? Is it real play? I don't know. They play Dungeons and Dragons and they record it. So I listened to that while I'm
there's a word for that
and stuff.
Okay.
And it's all right. Yeah, it works pretty well. Pretty well, I would say. Oh, hey, speaking about us live streaming, I mentioned it on Twitter. I don't know if anybody is actually going to show up. And likewise, I don't know if
we have 3 people watching and 1 like.
Wait, oh, hey, hello, people watching and the 1 like.
I think one of those people watching is actually just me on the back end monitoring the stream.
Well, that's always good. Speaking of the stream, nobody's asking any questions or anything.
So our friend Steven is with us.
Oh, hello, Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's I think he says the last evening of Vampires of Neverwood. I think that may be online, that you can check that out. Okay. Go to Annex Theater's YouTube page.
Annex Theater's YouTube page.
Yes. I know that they will continue the story not on Annex Theater's YouTube page, on their own YouTube page.
Oh,
but
nice.
That is all that I know.
You know, one of the things that's fun about TikTok that I'll share with you is that people have this crazy idea about what sort of things TikTok can and can't do. And I don't know. I have no idea what it's capable of and what it isn't. But I know that now this is granted in the early 2000s, when I worked for Amazon, people thought that the Amazon website was able to do a lot of stuff that it couldn't do. Like for instance, wait until you put something in your cart, and then when you, specifically Ben Lawrence, put it in your cart, they would end the sale for the item that you put in your cart, so that when you checked out, it wasn't on sale anymore. That, at least at the time that we were doing that, as far as I know, and as far as the people that were maintaining the website goes, was a feat of artificial intelligence that the website was not capable of at that time. What it was people were personifying it. You know, it's the same thing. My computer hates me, right? Yeah. They, out of everyone that put that item in their cart and purchased it, someone has to get caught between when the sale ends and when it, it's a 24-hour website. So you think that it ended because you put it in your cart and you remember it being on sale, and then it was suddenly not on sale anymore. But it doesn't mean that you specifically were targeted by that. It just means that you were there during the time. Now, the reason I mention this is that one of the things that I find interesting about Twitter, not Twitter, sorry,
TikTok.
the TikTok people, the creators, right? You have analytics and things like that. And so somebody will say, TikTok has stopped showing my videos to people, which is possible. They see that their views have gone down. TikTok has stopped showing my videos to people, and then they go, and it's because I'm making too much money on the creator fund and they don't want to pay me as much, or they're doing, whatever. They come up with these ideas of why it's happened. And the thing that's fun is I can't suss out whether or not it's true or not anymore, because technology has gotten to scary levels of artificial intelligence and things like that. But I always want to say probably not. Probably not. You're probably not being targeted specifically by the algorithm.
People like to excuse phenomena they don't understand by being conspiracies against them.
Don't I know it, Ben? That's that's my default.
Yep.
But like I said, science is so good. The idea that something, you can't really know something until you test it, is wonderful. And it's something that you can't necessarily, if you tried to test everything that you make assumptions about, people would think that you're crazy. But there's a lot of stuff that we take for granted that may not be true. And for me, that was part of my own mental problems, if you will. I would think of something, it would sound good to me, like, yeah, that's probably what's happening, and then just boom, off to the races. That is what's happening.
Yep.
As opposed to, actually, the big one, the thing I love the most, many people do not consider you at all. You make no impression on them whatsoever. Once I learned that, my life got a lot better.
I may have told this story before, but it's not so much in terms of somebody who didn't know me, but I had an instance in the 5th grade where I was part of a school project with a group of other 5th graders, and we agreed on one day to work on this project through recess. And there was one kid in my group who's like the popular kid in school. He's like the most popular kid in my class. And the teacher had said, now if anybody doesn't work hard on this project, let me know, and they'll get a lower grade than everybody else. I don't want one person to bring down the whole group. And so during this one day when we were going to work on this project through recess, I completely forgot. And I went to recess.
Oh.
And I remember...
Oh, no.
I remember this kid, his name is Jason. It's a, whatever, it's a plain enough name. Ran up to me like near the end of the recess, and he's like, you forgot about the project we were working on. I'm going to tell our teacher that you didn't work as hard as everybody else and you're going to get a lower grade. And I felt really bad because I, completely forgot. And I knew this kid all throughout high school graduation, right? And all that time, I'm like, oh man, Jason hates me. And he was like, he became, the captain of the football team, class president, Mr. Popular. And I'm like, man, Jason hates me. And, he never talks to me and whatever. I ran into him at our high school's 25th anniversary a couple years ago. And I told that story to a friend of mine who, in her drunken stupor, told Jason. And when I was standing there, and she was like, "Ben thinks you hate him," and so I had to tell him the story, and he had no idea what I was talking about. Right,
he had
this
forgotten
thing
about it by that time.
that had been bothering me in my subconscious for however many years it's been since the 5th grade was just, it's all me. It's all on me, because all throughout even when I saw him at the 20th high school reunion, I He came up and he was like being friendly and gregarious and all that and shaking everybody's hand because he was the class president. He was in charge of, arranging the whole thing. And he walked away and I say to everybody, all my friends I'm talking with at the time, and I'm like, man, that's funny because Jason really hates me.
Oh.
And
then
turns
like,
out...
I forgot all about that. And then he goes out to his car in the parking lot.
He grabs
and there's a picture of you with a big X over it. And he just punches it a couple times.
Yep.
And he
forgetting.
yells at the picture, "I'm not giving you the satisfaction." And he's still got the class project in a little bit of a frame with a red ink frowny face on
That's
it.
exactly what happens.
Man,
so yeah, I know exactly what you mean, where you can be encumbered by doubts about whether or not you've affected somebody in a negative way, and you haven't.
Man, Ben, I'm liking this setup now. Check this out, right? Looks like I'm looking at you and I'm listening, right? A little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit. That was me checking the time.
If I'm
great.
looking this way, I'm actually looking at the monitor that the Zoom call is coming in on, so I can just see you on the screen. If I'm looking here, I'm looking at Wirecast. Over here is YouTube, where I'm streaming, and where I'm writing down the show notes.
Have we chased away the 3 people that were watching it?
No, there's still 3 people. In fact, McCandless says, going back to Vampires of the Neverwood, he says you'd like it. You probably would. Check it out. They filmed 90 hours of pre-recorded footage for the show, most of which most of it will never be seen.
That is crazy.
Because it was a choose your own adventure, and they had to have content for all the choices.
And there were paths that the people didn't go down.
Exactly.
Bandersnatch. Had to say it. You can't say choose your own adventure without saying Bandersnatch.
I still haven't seen that.
I liked it. And once you see it, I'll talk to you about the thing that I thought was really good. I don't want to spoil it for you.
I mean, I have.
Are you going to watch it? Will you watch it?
I'll watch it eventually. I know Black Mirror's.
Oh wait.
I know Black Mirror's not a narrative connected narrative amongst all the episodes, so I don't need to watch it in order. But I want to watch the latest season, even though here's not that good. But I want to watch it after I see Bandersnatch. And here's my complaint: I have an Apple TV, arguably a pretty popular device for watching content, and for watching Netflix, right? And you cannot do the choose your own adventure on an Apple TV.
What?
You have to. I think Roku will let you. I may be wrong about that, but and if you're watching Netflix on like a laptop or like you do on a PS4 now PS5, you were able to, but not with an Apple TV.
I watched it on my smart TV. I was able to use the remote.
I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, do you need a keypad?
No.
Like I have an app for my Apple TV, a remote app that can do anything any other remote can do.
That should work. Maybe it's a licensing thing.
So I don't know. Maybe it is a licensing thing. It just kind of annoyed me because I'm like, you know what? I'm in the Apple ecosystem.
If you have the Netflix app, you should be able to do it.
What I could do is like stream it, like AirPlay it to my TV while having it on a laptop or something. I just don't want to go through the trouble.
Yeah.
I'm in the Apple ecosystem. I'm used to everything working, and it really irritates me when something doesn't work.
Yeah, I hear you. I still use all Apple stuff as well. It is kind of weird, though. Apple is sort of fallen out of favor a little bit, but I hear that they're coming out with a $3,000 virtual reality device or something like that. So
$3,000?
I know it's crazy.
How much was my Oculus Quest? Was like $200, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I think I bought the higher one. So
maybe it's going to be a suit that you get in.
You better get like a chair or something that elevates the experience.
I would think so.
There's rumors of an Apple
PSVR is hooked back up again.
Yeah. There's rumors of an Apple car, but I'm probably not going to get one of those on launch day.
Oh, man. No, probably not.
Those are years off. That's like 5 or 6 years off. But
I still now there aren't a lot of conspiracy theories that I still hold on to, but the one that I still kind of think is the Segway,
yeah,
the thing that was going to change the way that we, cities would be built differently based off of this, all that.
I loved when that came out.
I still think it was going to be something cooler that got pulled at the last minute, and the Segway was the thing that they ended up doing.
What? I
But
mean, cities don't even get redesigned for for
yeah,
more legitimate reasons. Why would a device? Anyway, whatever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But yeah, it would be weird. I don't know if we all had hover cars, not flying cars. This is the thing. Let's set our sights a little bit lower. Hover
lower to
cars
the
don't
ground.
need wheels anymore, right?
Yeah.
You can just it'd be great.
I loved the
Uh,
whole when Back to the Future came out and the whole thing about around hoverboards. Do you remember this? Where
yeah,
some people were like they were actually a thing, and but they got pulled for safety reasons or something like that.
yeah,
And so you had one camp of people who thought hoverboards were real, another camp that was like it's a movie. They made it up for the movie.
yeah.
Um,
And now we have hoverboards, but they don't actually hover. They're not really boards. It's a whole thing.
so here's a news flash. Your friend of mine Sonia's watching the stream.
Sonia,
And
yay!
she says the year of what is it going to be for the Segway was a huge letdown. Yes, I think
Yes,
we all agree about
I
that.
think I think Sonia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Sonia and I both were working for one of the big proponents of the Segway before it came out. So it was a double letdown because it was like, oh well,
Is the big proponent meaning the company that you mentioned earlier in in
yeah,
the
yeah,
show?
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's too bad. Um, but wow, Sonia, Sonia, we hung out, you, me, and Sonia, and we had a picture taken, I think by Zetics at one point in time. I want to say that there's a picture of us near Zymogenetics, but I could be wrong about that.
There's I actually oh yeah, Simogenics. We stopped by there once and they were closed and we were banging on the
Yep.
doors, yelling at them to let the rabbits out. We do have a picture of the three of us in front of my truck in the parking lot of Sonia's apartment, because the three of us would go just aimlessly driving around in my truck, and just for the fun of it. And I had this new truck to me, and I wanted to drive it around. So yeah, and Sonia
Yeah.
remembers this. I didn't remember this, but Sonia wanted to drive, and I wouldn't let her. And
That sounds
yeah.
that sounds very. I don't think I ever asked to drive your truck, but I don't think you would have let me drive your
No,
truck
I wouldn't.
either.
I don't like anybody driving my
Yeah,
cars. It's a weird thing. But I
and
have that.
that's the other thing is I didn't like driving at all, so that worked out really great.
I actually have that picture. I have that picture framed in my apartment. The three of
Oh,
us. It's one of the. It's the only picture that is not of family or pets in in a frame in my place.
that's really
So,
cool. Thanks, Ben.
and you're wearing your Fantastic Four shirt that you bought one for all three of us, and I had mine for a while, but I don't know what I did with it. I can't remember if I like gave it to good. I don't know why I would have given it to Goodwill because like my friend Paul gave me that shirt, but I no longer have it for some reason.
I think I've retired my Fantastic Four shirt, and what I mean by that is I think it's in a box somewhere because it's so
Yeah,
worn out by now. But yeah, I think that was the idea is that there were three of us and we had Fantastic Four shirts because it was
yeah.
funny.
There's three of us.
I gave my Green Lantern shirt to that guy who slept on the crane.
I
I remember
remember
that
that.
too.
We were coming away from a movie at the Cinerama. I don't remember what movie, but
I am known to give articles of clothing away to people. I did it again when I moved here. There was a woman who came up to us in the grocery store and said that she really liked my jacket. So I was like, "Here, you can have." It was a suit coat jacket, I said, here, you can have it. And she was very effusive, thank you, and all that. And when she left with it, Jennifer was like, thank God. I hated that jacket, which was nice.
I was the beneficiary of something like that. There was a birthday party here at Annex for James Weidman, and there was a rather loud, belligerently drunk friend who we all know. I'm not going to mention who it is though. And we were all watching a movie on the big screen here, and this guy kept like being drunk and being interruptive and yelling, and so I took it upon myself to distract him while everybody else was trying to enjoy the movie. So I brought him into the lounge and we started talking. He was wearing this hat, and at one point I'm like, hey, I like your hat, and he's like, I want you to have it. He took it off and he gave it to me, and I'm like, no. He's like, yes, keep it, I want you to have this hat. And I'm like, well, you're gonna...
What kind of hat was it?
It is I don't know the style. It's a wide brimmed hat, not a cowboy hat, not a yeah. But it, you know.
Is it a hat that they would wear a long time? Like they would often. Is this hat a fixture of theirs? Or was it one that they were wearing that night?
I only remember them wearing it that night. It's not a hat that I associate with that person.
All right.
But cool. At one point I realized, you know, you can't argue with a drunk person. I'm going to accept the hat, and I'll just hold on to it here at Annex because I'm probably going to get an email tomorrow saying, can I have my hat back? But it has turned out to be one of my favorite hats. I wear it whenever it rains. And so I'm glad.
Okay, when did this happen?
Oh man, this was like 10 years ago, maybe.
So maybe I have seen you in this hat.
You probably have. Saying. I may have posted pictures of me in this hat. Sonia wants to play a game of Guess Who for who I'm talking about.
Okay.
He's taller than me. That was one of the questions. He is taller than me.
He's taller than you?
Yeah.
Is this behavior uncommon for this person, or is it something that
you mean
maybe that's too rude?
Being belligerently drunk? Is that? So I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
But I will say that he is part of the theater crowd because who else would be here? So that's you know.
Do I know them better than you, or do you know them better than me?
Do not know, but I want to mention this briefly as an aside. Steven says that the next Tesla Roadster might actually hover.
Nice, good to know.
And I know that Steven is plugged into all things Tesla, so I'll trust his take on things.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah,
I don't think I've always said we're not gonna get flying cars until all cars are automatically not flown by people. Hover cars might actually be the same, fall under the same regulation. If it's not touching the ground, they have to be self-piloting.
I honestly think, Ben, at some point in time, just as I still think, and I believe I'm going to be right on this, they pronouns are going to be standard across the board in like 30 years, and I'm all for it. I also think that eventually all cars, unless you have a super special license, are going to be motorized. We will not be able to drive our own cars.
And in 30 years, I'm probably not going to be driving around anyway, so I won't mind. But if that were happening today, I'd probably be a little upset because I do enjoy driving.
People will hate it. Yeah, but other people say highway death.
It'll take a generation for all of us old fogies to stop to die off. I just forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
Any more guesses? Did Sonia put in?
No more guesses.
Okay.
And no more hints. I'll give you yes or no if you want to take a guess on who it is.
Oh, now see, here's the thing. I think after the live stream, I'll ask you who it is.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you offline.
Yeah.
I just don't want to.
Sorry for the people listening, but the thing is that Most of the people listening probably won't know who this person is, and if you do care who the person is, you probably know Ben well enough that you can ask him also.
I will neither confirm nor deny who I'm talking about. Who got
not
drunk
slandering someone on the podcast is a great move on my part. I think I did it
totally.
Because what if I guessed and I guessed wrong?
Sonia's kind of right where she says it sounds like Ben wanted to change the subject. I kind of do, but I don't mind going on. But I did want to mention what Steven said about the Tesla. The Tesla Roadster. Anyway.
Man, I've been cracking my neck so easily. It's insane. Oh, I think I told you this already. I work 100% from home now.
Yes. As do 90% of office workers, I'm assuming.
But here's the thing. When the office reopens, I no longer have a desk there.
Right, because your office is in a different time code, right?
Well, no. There was an office that I was still assigned to work at. From this company near me, but it wasn't super near me, and they have agreed to allow me to work from home indefinitely, which is great.
Does that mean you get to take home like a fancy ergonomic chair and
no,
and you get office stuff?
Does not.
What?
Yeah, so let's not get into like exactly how it works, but I have my own setup.
Yeah.
And
that's
let's say this, Ben. If I were to have any item from my office here, I probably would have asked if I could use it and probably would have gotten permission to use it. And there would probably be an official record that I was allowed to use it. Yeah. But in general, one would say that if you're working from home, there are, I don't want to say liabilities or anything, but basically, there's equipment that you are allowed to have, and equipment that it's up to you to provide to yourself. So it's not exactly like right, if I wanted a fancy ergonomic chair, right, I would be more than welcome to purchase a fancy ergonomic chair. I might even be able to write it off on my taxes as something that I bought, for work or whatever. But I do not have one, and that's because I don't really think I need. I have a pretty nice desk chair, but it's not fancy or anything like that.
A couple years ago, when we were allowed to work in giant downtown high-rises, I had a contract for a job and for a couple months, and so I went into the office for a while. And I really, I enjoy working from Annex, the flexibility and the freedom to do whatever I want to do during the day. But the nice thing about working in an office is that there's so much free food around. I did not have to pay for lunch for like 3 months straight because I would just go to one of 30, what felt like small convenience stores on each floor and just grab various things for lunch. All the free coffee I wanted, fancy espressos. I miss that part of freelancing. It's just taking advantage of all the free crap you get.
The opposite for me, one of the things that was good is that I could bring stuff that Jennifer bakes to the office.
Yeah.
If we had too much of it. By the way, Ben, check it out. Painted my nails.
Yeah, I saw you doing that while I was trying to say something.
But look, it's chipping off. It's chipping off because I was using Jennifer's nail polish, and now she's back. And look, she'd probably let me do it again, but I might buy my own nail polish.
She probably noticed that you painted your nails, and so...
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I didn't hear a bad thing about it. The genesis of this was, there was somebody on TikTok who was like, if you let your husband paint his nails, the next day he's going to be wearing your dress. And I had this idea for a funny thing where I paint my nails and then I'm like, my wife is 5 feet. I'm not going to be able to fit in that, that kind of. But then I realized the way that the Twitter, not sorry, I keep saying Twitter, the way that TikTok works, that person would have gotten views from my like roasting thing of them or my talk back, whatever. And then they would have gotten more money. They would have gotten money for me adding views to them. So no.
That's the new game on TikTok, is how to keep other people from making money.
Well, that's my game. I'm not. Oh, speaking about which,
Yeah.
there are several different. If you go to Twitter and search the hashtag Stop Asian Hate, there are several good places to donate to, and I highly recommend it. I think that the hashtag is a little confused or could be confusing a little bit. Somebody started one that's Stop Asian Hate Crimes, which is still confusing, sort of, but I don't think it's that confusing. I think people get it and understand.
For me, it's just all confusing. Is this just like pent up, like coronavirus anxiety that's bringing on all these hate crimes towards Asian people? Is there something else in the ether that I don't know about? Why is this suddenly a thing again?
This guy who
the guy who's having a bad day.
The people, yeah. Oh, geez, yeah. The guy who said that communications and community outreach is like in his job title.
Yeah.
What is happening?
And racist shirts against coronavirus are in his Facebook history.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I feel like you can't separate it, right? All the anti-China stuff, and people are like, well, yeah, but that's China, and the people who are Korean, and all you tell that to America's racism, because it lumps all Asian people together when it's hating on people. So you can't all of a sudden quibble about, oh, well, and plus he didn't really hate he said it wasn't racist. That was the other thing that's crazy. Oh, the guy who did it? Oh, and his wife also said it wasn't. Great.
Didn't realize he was married.
This
don't care.
Issue, no matter what the perpetrators or the police or anything like that, this issue is wrapped up in so many. I mean, the Chinese Exclusion Act, that America has been very, very good at being racist towards Asian people for a very long time.
Oh, I'm familiar with that. It seems to be like a top, above the fold issue in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like I hate to do this, but I'm going to. I get when there's an ad that somebody had for Biden at one point in time about how it was a very xenophobic, tone deaf ad about how Donald Trump wasn't tough enough on China.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Democratic Party, and we already know what the Republican Party is doing. So it's one of those things where like people know that if they play that racist against Asian card, it will work. Like there's a psychological thing where they go ahead and, like, somebody watched that and then said, yeah, it's okay, even though you're the left candidate, we can run this and it'll be fine. This is good. It'll get more people to our side.
You appeal to the racists in the crowd.
Yeah, it's nuts. And of course, I could be wrong, and correct us if we. And boy, oh boy, Ben, I don't know if I want to read that correction if it happens.
Well, if you do have a correction for Paul or I, you can email us at bensemail@yahoo.com, at gmail.com. Call us at 216-586-4524, or B10 Lung Lag.
B10 lung lag, and I looked up lung lag on Twitter in quotes lung
Yeah.
lag to see, and there are like 10 different things. None of them are a phone number, so it's not.
Well,
No one's
one
posted
thing.
it.
So Paul, I promised you that once when we started live streaming again, that I'd play this voicemail that we got
Oh, right.
to the channel. It seems like and this will become self-evident when we hear it. It seems like somebody has spoofed the GudeLaurance podcast phone number, and we got a
Okay.
call back from somebody who was getting a little fed up of getting calls from us. And
We've said that we will answer any voicemail, so we
Yeah.
have to be true to our word.
so
Let's do it.
here's the voicemail.
Do not call my number anymore. Not interested. Have a good day.
Oh,
Do you think we should call her back to apologize?
no, we should. We definitely shouldn't. She already was very clear not to call. But that was a lot. That was as polite as you could be in those circumstances.
It was very polite.
So yeah, I apologize. I had somebody actually call my number recently, saying that they were receiving calls from my number. So it's obviously widespread. I also got a call. My Social Security card is going to be revoked, and I'm going to get arrested, Ben.
I get those calls too.
Too
I
bad.
also get a lot of spam calls that appear to be
Hey, baby!
that appear to be hoax calls for foreign exchange students. It's in Chinese, and it says
no.
that the I've looked this up because a lot of people get these calls. It's actually a scam telling foreign exchange students that their visa is going to be revoked unless they
Oh, no.
pay so much money. I'm not quite sure what the payoff is, but
Wow.
it's a
Yeah, that's
little
no good.
upsetting. I also
don't know if
get
she's coming.
I get calls from Chase
Daddy!
Bank saying that my credit
she's
card's been
coming.
revoked. I do not have a credit card from Chase Bank.
Yeah, that's crazy. And hey, look, Edward's gonna bark at her. Maybe.
Edward!
I'm gonna pick him up soon.
Is she coming?
Edward doesn't bark if you pick him up. Yeah, she's.
You let her know we're live in case she doesn't want to be on
Hey,
the internet.
Betty, just so you know, we're streaming.
Cool.
Here, you wear the headphones for a second.
Okay.
Hey, there. Our
Something
friends
like-
are a couple of friends are watching. Sonia's watching. Sonia,
Hello, people.
here, lean forward, Betty.
Say
I don't
hi
think
to Sonia
Sonia's
and
seen
Steven.
you.
Hello, people. I'm gonna be quick about this. I've been going to in-person school. It's been great, even though sometimes my feet hurt. Talking to people is nice, and I like ice cream sandwiches. Goodbye.
Okay, see ya.
I like ice cream sandwiches as well. And I said I like ice cream sandwiches as well. Both
She's
Steven
never
and
gonna know.
both Steven and Sonia have said hi, Betty. So you can tell Betty
no.
that
I'll
our
let-
friends
I'll let her
say
know.
hi to her later on.
Yeah. So yeah, in-person school's working out well for her. I'm
Is it?
glad that we did it. Yeah.
What's your vaccination status over there? Apparently, we're supposed to get all of ours here in King County by like the end of May.
Wow. Well, end of May is what the president wants to have happen for everyone. So that would be cool.
Our governor
right now, we're
has said that as
still-
well.
We're still in old people area and people with disabilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to my parents' house on Saturday though to help my dad dig a hole because
You got to get
he's
rid of a
gotten
body
his
somehow.
vaccinations. No. It's for a septic tank,
Sure.
which is where we're going to put the body. Eventually. So, oh my gosh. Now, okay, listen. If for whatever reason my dad and I are on trial because a body was found in a septic tank, we didn't do it. and this isn't some weird, elaborate, alibi that I'm establishing now. My dad and I did not kill anyone and put them in a septic tank.
You heard it here first, people.
Yeah. Oh, speaking about which, what did we? I forgot. We killed something, but we didn't mean to. Oh, that's right.
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah. No. I was thinking of the Jay Johnson thing.
Ah, yes. I want to look that up to see
right.
if he's been arrested or if he's on the lam.
Yeah. We should totally take that. Now, I gotta say, Ben, that we are at the end of the podcast.
Indeed.
We thank our watchers and listeners for being here with us, and we would also ask that you please keep it wrong.
Yes, and I ask you to keep it wrong, and anybody else who's here, I ask to keep it wrong. I think somebody's in the building.
And we will wait. Somebody's in the building.
Yeah. I don't know who it is. Yeah, I'll find out soon.
Okay.
Enough.
So, all right. Now Ben and I are going to get off the podcast and stop live streaming so that we can get in on those juicy gossip details. Who was the man in the hat?
Okay.
Right.
So.